Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, which is a historically humanist congregation. And this is Coffee and Conversation. Well, we've got Unitarian Universalism up this week. We were looking at some of the ideas last week. The place where we left it last week was in these ideas of Christian theology and these big words. And I've been asking the question of Unitarianism, Universalism, and then Unitarian Universalism. What is the there? And the place to look is of course, theology, but it is a kind of confusing thing that can make your head explode. I mentioned last week Christology, pneumatology, cosmology, anthropology, Mariology, angelology, theodicy, harmatiology, which I can barely say, that's sin, soteriology, missiology, and ecclesiology. A lot of big, and of course, all of those are based in Greek words that were being used in theology in the early Christian church. And so here we go. We're going to take a little look today. Something that came into my email this morning from BibleStudyTools.com was a little article that said 5 Counterfeit Truths of Progressive Christianity by Alyssa Childers. Now, the idea here is that evangelical Christianity, fundamentalist Christianity is correct, and the others are not correct. So her first counterfeit truth, number 1, is you are perfect just as you are. Well, guess what? That is anthropology, right? That's the study of the nature of the human. Counterfeit truth number 2 among liberal progressive Christians is Jesus didn't need to die on the cross. That is hermeneutiology and soteriology, right? And I talked last week about the idea of propitiation required by the laws of the universe, which was one early Christian idea that obviously continues. Counterfeit truth number 3, the resurrection doesn't have to be historical to be meaningful. This is a fundamentalist evangelical idea concerning soteriology and cosmology, right? The soteriology is the idea of what does the crucifixion mean, or what does it mean to be saved? Sometimes the term is used outside of Christian terminology, although it does arise out of Christianity. And then cosmology. Counterfeit truth number 4, God isn't that concerned with who you sleep with, which of course is pneumatology. That is, did the Spirit come down and actually give the Word of God to people on the earth, and that the Word of God is absolute and true through all time. And counterfeit number 5, which is really the same question, the Bible is an ancient travel journal. Now, I don't know of any progressive Christians who say the Bible is an ancient travel journal, but the idea here is that human beings wrote it without any particular connection to or phone line to God. So this is pneumatology, cosmology, and anthropology. Now, as the author says here, learning to spot these ideals will ensure that you are following the real Jesus, which apparently means there are fake or untrue Jesuses or unreal Jesuses of some sort, and believing the real gospel, meaning something, I don't know, not a counterfeit version of Christianity that will inevitably end up looking a lot like what you see in the mirror. After all, a God made in your own image is not the God of the Bible, and it's not a God that can save you. All right, well, those of you who have been following along know that this was an argument all the way back and sort of got decided at the Nicaea in the 300s. This, by the way, is a book that is a contemporary Unitarian Christian evangelical book, if you can believe there is such a strain of ideas, but there are indeed one God and one Lord, reconsidering the cornerstone of the Christian faith. This is looking at the tradition and saying that it is indeed a Unitarian one, but a fundamentalist Christian Unitarian one. And so you see these arguments continue down through time. Also, if you've been following closely, you know that this is a quote from 1 Corinthians, quoting Paul, that was used actually to disprove the Trinity back in the Nicene days of the 300s. 1800s. So this is these are ongoing arguments, shall we say. So Christology is the theology concerning the nature and role of Jesus. High Christology means that Jesus is an aspect of God, Trinity, or is God himself, which is one way that some Pentecostal people see it. And then the low Christology is that God or Jesus would be all the way to human and have absolutely no connection to God whatsoever. So let's look at some pictures here. Here is a high Christology. Here's a smiling Jesus with a scepter and a crown sitting on a cloud, welcoming you in. That's a high Christology, very obviously. Here is the mighty victor Jesus flying through the air. These are dispossessed angels falling to the side. He's kicking out the bad guys, in other words. That would be a high Christology, a flying Jesus who fights bad angels. Here's a high Christology. This is Jesus taking care of the American government in a very personal way. You can buy this portrait and hang it on your wall if you would like. A high Christology. This is a little different, but probably still a high Christology. We've got Jesus taking care of the black sheep of the family, metaphorically, of course, but he is wearing purple, which is a liturgical color within what are known as the high churches. It's the Episcopal Church, etc., some Lutheran churches. So all high Christologies. Well, the highest Christology of all is this very well-known painting from the year 1940 by an advertising agent by the name of Warner Salzman, who lived in Chicago. This is called The Head of Christ. It was published in this form in 1940 and became one of the best-selling pictures of Jesus of all time. It has been reproduced. Estimates are about 1 billion different versions of it, sort of even maybe almost to the Big Mac level of production. You will notice that Jesus is blue-eyed in this particular one. A couple of other aspects, there is some subliminal messaging here. Warner Salzman, the painter, was an advertising agent. And here we have this is the wafer from communion in the middle, the third eye of Jesus's forehead here. And if you look closely, you will see the chalice. That's where the wine is. So this is the wine and the body subliminally communicated. And yes, apparently Mr. Warner did think that was the way to do it. Well, but also Jesus has gotten a makeover over time. And so some other ideas of Christology. Here is a black Jesus, that young guy out in the field taking care of the sheep, but he does have his halo, probably a high Christology here. And here we have that blue-eyed Jesus and what has become kind of a very controversial idea here. This is a computer rendering of what a Palestinian Jew at the time of Jesus would have looked like, a composite. And you do notice that he's a little more swarthy than the blue-eyed Jesus, and he doesn't have blue eyes. So high Christology, Jesus is an aspect of God, probably the Trinity, not always, or low Christology, all the way to the place where Jesus might even have been human. Now, Universalists in the Unitarian Universalist way of thinking have been relatively orthodox in Christology over the years until the melding of the Unitarian Universalist traditions. Unitarianism necessarily implies a lower Christology, even the idea that Jesus was a human and had absolutely no connection to heaven whatsoever, certainly no long-distance phone line or cell phone service there. This depiction appeared in the UU World. That's the magazine publication of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And this is Jesus and Mary Magdalene. So Jesus is a bit darker here and probably married, because here we've got, there they are getting married in a nice Jewish service. So various depictions of Jesus. Here is a Roman Catholic girl. A female Jesus in the Roman Catholic tradition, we know by the Sacra Cooler here, the Sacred Heart, not approved by the Pope, I would quickly point out. And here's one headline: Paris Jackson's upcoming portrayal of Jesus sparks backlash. Yeah, here's the blue-eyed Jesus, and here is Paris Jackson as a female Jesus who also apparently is a lesbian in the movie. So this has caused a little bit of a stir, but you see how various depictions of Jesus make a lot of difference. It's almost a Rorschach test of what you're really talking about. Here is a Pan-Africa Jesus with the African colors here. So Jesus, he can appear in a whole lot of different ways. The high Christology of the Jesus on the throne and part of the Godhead, or actually maybe God himself, or all the way down to a good guy, as many Unitarians have believed over time, and we humanists as well. Thanks a lot for listening. We do have coming up Wednesday evening, Bibles and Beer, a humanist Bible study. That should be fun. Join us and keep an eye out for announcements about that through the week. And watch. We've got a YouTube channel, 2 of them now, one called Den of Conversation. It's a little bit different, and you can definitely join in and subscribe to that one. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, PayPal. You can help us out or go to firstunitarian.org, donate. Thanks a lot for looking quickly at Christology this morning, and we'll be back tomorrow with some more Christian theology. Thank you.